The number one question I get from newer investors, newer do-it-yourself investors is really, how do I get started? How do I invest my first $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000? It could be really challenging, right? Especially if you don't have much experience. It's real easy opening an account, a broker with a broker, because there's so many of them now, right? Online brokers, but what do you put your money into first, right? There's many options out there, many websites and articles and all kinds of stuff out there. There's dividend ETFs and growth ETFs, thematic ETFs, leverage ETFs, covered call ETFs, etc., etc., etc. It could be very overwhelming at the beginning, and it's completely normal. So this is why in this video I'm going to show you or unveil an updated version of my free sample portfolios. And believe it or not, I first came out with a free sample portfolios on my channel 3 years ago. So this is going to be an update of that, completely free. And I'm going to make it simple because what I realized is that there's really three styles of investing. If you think about it, there's growth style, which is all about maximizing your total return. There's the dividend style, which obviously focuses on dividend stocks. And then there's the income style, which is what I do, which really focuses on maximizing your passive income. So all three styles work long term, and there's different ETFs and funds for each one of those categories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 sample portfolios that each focus on those 3 investing styles to really give you some ideas, give you some inspiration to get started. These are not recommendations, they're just sample portfolios that help you start, do some initial research, and take it from there. So to really help you get started, because the quicker, the better, right? So let's go through these 3 sample portfolios together. I'll show you where you could download them for free, and we'll go through each one of them together. So just like you see in the title and like you can see in the flag from the thumbnail, these 3 sample portfolios will focus on the American stock market or funds listed on the American stock market. So this is going to be of interest to you. Of course, as you could see, there's 2 videos. One is going to focus on the Canadian market. This video here will focus on the American stock market. So let's get started. All right, everyone, let's go through the 3 American or US funds, US listed sample portfolio. So there's going to be 3 of them. The first one's going to focus on income, then growth or total return, and then dividend. And remember that you got to look at the tabs at the bottom. There's the Canadian ones here, and then there's the US ones. So I don't want you to download the file for free on my website and say, oh, where the hell are the US ones? I only see the Canadian ones. Just switch the tab here. And on a third tab, I also have a free portfolio template to help you get started in case you want to track your stuff with Excel. All you got to do is plug in your information here. There's a lot of the calculations are done for you in case you want to track that in Excel. Brokers are really, online brokers are really good at tracking your stuff now. So it's not really necessary, but just in case you're like me and want to manage it yourself or track it yourself, you could use this free portfolio template. So we'll go through the sample portfolios for the 3 types of investing. Make sure if it's too small, you could download it for free. You go on my website, everyone. PassiveIncomeInvesting.ca. This is the homepage. Click on free tools and resources, and it will be the very second download. Just click on this red download button. Not with Firefox, use any other browser, because if you do, you will enter the matrix, unfortunately. So it's very rare people use Firefox. Of course, I'm just one that I can't stop using it. I cannot switch to Chrome. So let's get started, everyone. Let's go through the sample portfolios together. So first column, you will see the name of the ETF here. Very simple, right? The provider and the name of the ETF. If you see a star, it means that the fund uses a covered call or an option strategy, an income enhancing strategy, which of course are going to be most of the ETFs in the sample income portfolio, which I really designed it for beginners. If you're like me and you want to be an income investor, you're interested in your primary goal is to generate passive income every month. Well, there's many funds on the US market, and what I decided to do is really give you a mix of different providers, even though a lot of the stocks are the same. For example, there's a lot of S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 covered call ETFs. They all have the same stocks, but the covered call strategy is a bit different for each. So when you're a beginner, it could be very overwhelming if you're an income investor. So what I typically recommend is, get a few of them, mix and match. And with experience, with time, you'll know for sure which ones you prefer. So there's a star next to the name. It means it's a cover call strategy. And if there's a dollar sign, I believe none of them are leveraged here. There's a little bit of leverage, but I don't think there are any on the US side here. So let's get started here. Let's go through them really quick, one by one. And by the way, the symbols are all here with the hyperlinks. So it's very easy. You click on the hyperlink, it will bring you to the fund's website. That is where you should do your research. That is where you'll see the official information like the management fee, the holdings, the performance, the strategy, etc., etc. And I also have a column called alternative options, which if there's an ETF that's very, very similar, has the same exposure, the strategy is very similar, and there's a lot of different ones that, again, like I said, there's many S&P 500 covered call ETFs, NASDAQ 100 covered call ETFs. I'm going to list them in there as well, just so you know what are some alternative options. A one-liner of what's inside this fund, and then your percentage. So and obviously it's going to add up to 100. So this is a very important column. So whether you're investing your first 1,000, 10,000, 5,000, you follow these percentages here. So just a disclaimer before we get started, these are not recommendations. They're meant to be really sample portfolios to give you some ideas, some inspiration to get started. I just want to make sure that's clear. So let's go through it real quick here. With the income portfolio, you have 15 funds. So you have, of course, JEPI and JEPQ, which are probably the biggest and most popular covered call ETFs on the US market. JEPI is S&P 500, JEPQ is NASDAQ 100. So basically, give me the whole US market or give me via those indexes with covered calls. You have QQQY and JEPY, very similar naming, especially the JEPY. Same exact thing, except they're from another provider called Defiance ETFs. The strategy is a bit different. They're still index based. They do daily options. That's the main difference. The yield is much higher. So 10% in each of those. Those are just for the record. These are the ones I own. These are probably my favorite S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 options ETFs, income ETFs out there. Really awesome. So 10% each of those. I kept JEPI and JEPQ the biggest options, I believe, just because they're very well known, JP Morgan, etc. I have the three, very popular ones also from Global X, QYLD, RYLD, XYLD, options strat. The indexes are the same. So QYLD is once again the NASDAQ, XYLD is the S&P 500. RYLD is the Russell 2000, however, which is an index that tracks really the small cap segment of the US market. So 5% in each of those. From Global X, QYLD is kind of the original one. A nice big chunk in SPY-I. So I really like SPY-I. It's another S&P 500 with covered call ETFs. It's a bit newer from NEOS. And I think it's really good. I believe it's actually outperforming JEPI, but it's just another S&P 500 one. Just like Devo is. Devo is from Amplify ETFs. It's another S&P 500 one. So, in my opinion, the best stuff on the US is really the indexes. And I think index investing is really perfect for beginners, whether it's growth or income. Nothing could ever go really wrong if you're investing in the indexes, because you're not stock picking here. You just have the whole index, which you have so many companies, and always changes. You're pretty much guaranteed to always have exposure to the best companies. So most of these are all going to be index based, which Americans have a lot of. In Canada, not so much, but there are more and more coming out. I think it's just the best way to go if you're a beginner, honestly, using indexes. Whether it's growth or income, you could use indexes for either now. There's also iDevo or IDVO, which kind of does the same thing Devo does, but on international stocks. So I added this one here, 5%, because Americans, this portfolio is very heavy on American stocks, which is fine. They're the best stocks in the world, but I just gave you a little 5% in international stocks, things outside of the US here. And remember, again, this is just a sample portfolio. You could play around with the percentages however you want, kick some out and add more in. This is just to give you some ideas to get started. Next one is the more niche or sector specific one. So you have SVOL from Simplify ETFs. I have to admit, one of my favorite income ETFs on the US market, a solid 15% yield with not much fluctuation with the stock price. It could sound very complicated, but check out, I have a lot of videos on SVOL. 5% there. It's proven itself. It's actually outperforming JEPI and JEPQ, by the way. Then I also have these three from BlackRock, which basically do covered calls on bonds, on fixed income. So TLTW basically does covered calls on TLT, which is the biggest US government bond ETF out there, long term. LQDW, as you probably guessed, does cover calls on LQD, and HYGW does cover calls on HYG. So the TLTW one, you got your US government bonds. LQTW, you have investment grade or high quality corporate bonds, just like the description says. And then the third one is on US, just regular high yield bonds, aka junk bonds. So you could actually get some really nice income off fixed income now, because covered calls helps with that. So you have these three. I put 4% each. Again, you could play around with the percentages. If you don't even care about fixed income, you don't even need these three. And I also put a little 2% in YYY, which is an ETF from Amplify, the same guys who make Devo, that holds about 45 closed-end funds on the US stock market. So there's a humongous closed-end fund market in the US. It's almost non-existent in Canada. Closed-end funds are a little bit more complicated to understand than ETFs. There's a little bit more moving parts. They're typically leveraged. They have higher fees. But YYY is kind of an all-in-one solution that really, you get exposure to many, many closed-end funds. So in case you're interested, I put 2% there, just a small percentage. So this is a really good, nice starter. I didn't put Bitcoin, by the way, even though you could use Maxi. Maxi is an ETF, Bitcoin exposure ETF managed by Simplify that is income oriented. But again, this is for beginners. I'm not going to put, things like Bitcoin, but that's why I always say you got to read the descriptions. There's lots of information there in case you're interested to add it. You could add Maxi, you could add the Bito, or maybe by the time this video comes out, the spot Bitcoin ETF will finally come out. Who knows? But 15 funds. Again, you don't need all of them. You could play around with the percentages. My opinion, I feel these are some of the best income-oriented high-yield funds on the U.S. market. I own a lot of them myself. I own QQQY and JPY, and I own SVOL. I used to own a lot of other ones there. So I think these are just some of the best ones out there. Give you a nice range of diversification with providers as well. You got Defiance and Global X and Amplify, JP Morgan, of course. But it's really up to you to look and decide which ones are best for you and tailor it to your discretion. So that's income. Moving on to growth, which really focuses on total return, right? So this is really, if you don't really need the income, you just want to put your money so it could grow over a certain amount of years. You want to capture the overall stock market with the lowest fee. You're probably a growth investor, the most popular way to invest still. So it's going to have a lot of index ETFs here that you'll probably recognize. I don't know why this one is blank. I'll fix that one, but that's going to be the Russell 2000 one, VTWO. So the first one is going to be VOO. There's even IVV or the SPY. This is your classic S&P 500 index ETF, guys, from Vanguard. Really a no-brainer. In my opinion, the best growth vehicle of our time, the S&P 500 index. So a nice 25% chunk in there. 10% in VTWO, which is the Russell 2000 index from Vanguard. Capture a little bit the small cap segment of the US market. You have VEU, which is developed and emerging markets outside of US. So this will give you access to some of the best stocks outside of the US. You have VTI and VT. So VTI, VT, VOO, these are very, very, very popular Vanguard passive index ETFs. VOO, the S&P 500. VTI, kind of like the whole US stock market, not just the big cap guys. And then you have VT, which is pretty much just give me the whole world in one ETF. And that's why VT is the biggest chunk at 25%. I did put a little bit of real estate, 5% total, 3% in VNQ, which is US, and 2% in VNQI, which is real estate outside of the US. But again, this is only if you really want if you want real estate, I mean. And of course, I did have to put a nice chunk in the NASDAQ index. QQQ, very, very popular. There's many different versions. I think there's, I have here as an alternative option XQQ. I think that's the BlackRock one, but there's QQQM, I believe, but I just put the classic stuff here. A very classic and easy starter portfolio if you're a growth or total return investor, everyone. Super, super easy. Moving on to dividend growth. So obviously, like the name says, this is going to focus on dividend stocks, but not the single companies, just what I feel are some of the biggest and most popular dividend ETFs, which only focus on dividend stocks. So of course, one of the biggest ones most talked about is always SCHD from Schwab. This is going to give you some of the best high quality US dividend stocks, 15% there. You also have VYM, which is also very popular from Vanguard. I think they pretty much kind of do the same thing. You have the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation. So this focuses on US dividend stocks that grow over time. So you have the VIG, VYMI. This is going to give you some international exposure, things outside, dividend stocks outside of the US. Here's another Vanguard International one. VIGI as well. VNQ for your real estate. Got to have a little bit of real estate in there, which typically has, REITs give income. And then I put some from Spider, which is another big provider like Vanguard, BlackRock, and Fidelity. You have the Spider S&P 500 high dividend ETF, the global dividend ETF. I'm sorry, my My little cat's here. Hello, Sunny. Give me a minute, okay? I gotta do these sample portfolios over here. Yeah, I'm coming. International dividend ETF and emerging markets dividend ETF. So really to give you the best dividend stocks all around the world using different ETFs, a couple of different providers. Again, you don't need all of these, right? You could lower the percentage and put more in what you like. It's just, again, another starter sample portfolio to really give you an idea or show you what are some of the best dividend stocks out there. All right, everyone. So that's it for the 3 sample portfolios. And you might be noticing, okay, why does it say portfolio 1, 4, and 6? Well, these are actually 3 sample portfolios out of 10 taken from my digital product, the Ultimate DIY Investing Package, which is on version 5. If you like these sample portfolios, you like this sort of stuff, it really helps you. Well, I strongly suggest you look at buying my product. It's only 99 Canadian dollars, which is only like $4 US or something like that. So you just click on this link and it will direct you to my website. And this is the product page it will direct you to. So again, it's 99 Canadian dollars. It comes with free lifetime updates. As you notice, this is version 5. My intent is always to update it every single year. Just got to buy it once. Then you go back to my website and download the new version. So if you're interested, I strongly suggest you watch this video before you buy it. I go through the product from A to Z, exactly what's in there. So you could look at it before you buy it. You could check out the reviews as well, which are all 100% legit. But I strongly suggest it, guys. There's 10 sample portfolios for Canadians, 10 sample portfolios for Americans. There's an ETF list as well. So you could, check out the details if you scroll down, but it's really the video you should watch because I actually go through it from A to Z. So I would strongly recommend it, of course. I appreciate your support. So hopefully these 3 free sample portfolios were very useful. Again, my intent is not to provide recommendations, to help you get started. And again, make sure to download them for free. Go on my website, PASSIVEINCOMEINVESTING.ca, free tools and resources, and it will be the second download. So thanks again, guys, and see you next time. Hey, don't go yet. A few reminders before you leave. Did you know that I launched a YouTube loyalty membership program where for only $3 a month, you could become a PII Inner Circle member, where you will gain access to exclusive content, exclusive videos and live streams, as well as other perks and benefits, including a really cool weekly opportunity report. That's right. If you're interested, just click on the little join button next to the subscribe button to see what it's all about. Also, make sure to follow me on Blossom and download Blossom. It's a social investing app, which is really cool. You could share your portfolio, follow other people's portfolios, including my own. My username is Adrian_PII. So download it with the referral link below. Not only is it free, but you could actually earn cash by taking these really small, quick 1-minute courses. Really awesome. It's a no-brainer. Also, make sure to visit our website, PASSIVEINCOMEINVESTING.ca. That's where you could book a one-on-one private coaching session with yours truly, with myself, where you could ask me all the questions you want. All the information and booking information is on the website. Make sure to check out that video on the homepage there to see how to book a one-on-one properly. Also on my website, you could purchase my digital product, which I'm very proud of, the Ultimate DIY Investing Package. This is a reference tool or a companion tool that will help you build your own portfolio. So it has lists of funds, it has sample portfolios, and it covers both the Canadian and US stock markets. And the good news is you'll only ever have to buy it once because it comes with free lifetime updates. And my plan is really to update the version every single year. So make sure to pick it up. Also, I have Questrade and Passive referral links below. So Questrade is the broker that I personally use, and Passive is the broker companion tool or assistant that I use. Really cool program, really cool software. So I have referral links for both of those. Questrade, $50 of free trades. And Passive, I have half off for the Elite membership. If you're interested in the Elite membership, and even if you want to start out with the free membership and upgrade to the Elite afterwards, use my referral code so you could still get that 50% off. And don't forget that the Elite membership of Passive is 100% free if you use Questrade. For social media, we have a very successful and big Facebook group, private Facebook group with over 14,000 members where we all try to help each other out. So make sure to join that group. Information is below. We also have Instagram where you could follow us, or more personal stuff when it comes to our life here in Panama. And there's LinkedIn as well. So as usual, everyone, how do I leave you? Continue to stay safe, stay healthy, and of course, stay passive. See you next time.